Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Laguna Beach, California, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to today's study of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Good morning.
Good morning, Raghunath.
All right, I don't know if I should announce the secret that my charger is missing. I think one of the kids just took it.
You think blame it on the kids?
61%. Let's see if I can do this show without the whole thing shutting
Otherwise,
down.
you got your phone as a backup, right?
Oh, that's my chart. Yes, I do. Okay, there we go. Thank you. I would have never thought of that. And today is Balaram's appearance day in America.
That's true. That's true. The Lord appears. We believe in one Lord, one God, but that appears in many different varieties of ways. And Balaram is a very significant manifestation.
You want to say something about Balaram? This was not planned.
No, it wasn't planned. But you know, Balaram. This is like this. The original expansion. You know, from Krishna. It actually appears before Krishna. He is that internal energy that manifests in so many ways to serve Krishna. It appears in this day and age as Lord Nityananda, most merciful manifestation. The you could say like the quality or the energy of the guru, you know, is personified there in Nityananda, you know, because he's a follower and instructor as well, you know. Balaram.
And also the paraphernalia of the Lord, like the holy Dham.
Paraphernalia, yeah.
The holy Dham is represented as Balaram.
It's one of those tattvas that, you know, requires a lot to deeply understand. Yeah. I think it's beyond us to do today, Raghunath.
It is beyond us, and we get to plunge it in here next time to do that.
Okay.
And I think if in layman's terms, he's Krishna's older brother.
Okay.
Krishna's older brother. Yeah, they call him Dauji, the older brother.
He's got the rasa, the friendship rasa with Krishna, but he's also got a little bit of that, like, I'm the older brother, I got to look out for him in his love, blended into that, you know?
Yeah. And he has got his own gopis too.
He's got his own Rasa Leela.
Got his own little Rasa Leela going on. Mm-hmm. Can you name in Mara, hot seat? Can you name any of the demons Balaram killed?
Let's
see where she's at.
Spirit.
Oh, look at her. She's good.
She's sharp. She's sharp. You think she doesn't know, and she knows. She knows. One more, and you're off the hook.
Oh. You said one.
I'll give you a hint.
Excuse me?
You know what I'm talking about when I did that. Kostubin's laughing, but he knows exactly what I'm
Oh,
talking.
Dravida gorilla.
Look at
Yes.
that. She's good.
Not to be confused with Magilla gorilla, but
That's right. McGill a whole nother gorilla.
Dravida gorilla is.
I did get some help from Braj Bihari.
Oh,
there you go.
Raj Bihari, come on. How do I know her
But
spiritual
even
caliber?
she saw Dravida, but she knew gorilla. She threw that. That was
She knew
Mara
gorilla.
on her own that came up with the gorilla part.
Yeah.
Braj Bihari just wrote Dravida.
Alrighty. Well, I'm heading down today to
It's
San
got a gorilla
Diego,
for
by the
sale.
way.
Oh, you're going down to San
I
Diego?
didn't know it
Okay.
was Balaram's appearance, and I made a whole. I'm doing a workshop in San Diego, and these San Diego people down there at State Yoga on State.
Just promise
and-
me you're not going to go through 14 announcements right now. That's
No, what I am going to do is I'm going to hang out with our good friend Mukunda Kishore,
There we go.
who has opened another Ben and Esther's restaurant.
Are you going to go to it?
I'm going to go to it. I'm going to eat
Nice.
those. I'm going to eat those.
What are
it's
you
a
gonna have?
It's a Jewish vegan deli. I'm going to eat a vegan bagel.
Just a bagel.
I don't know. I'll tell you about it tomorrow. I have no clue
Okay.
what I'm getting into.
Yeah, let them decide, right? I think that's how you go into it.
Oh, Sherry Yannick's going to be there. All right. The mysterious Sherry Yannick. Well,
Nice.
good. All right.
Okay. Any announcements, Mara?
Yes, we have Back to Recovery group meeting at noon today. And then tomorrow for our Patreon members, it's Fun Day Friday with Jamuna Jaya at 5:30.
Fun
Talk
Day
about
Friday.
bright light, right?
She's like me. She likes to make up cool, attractive names for things.
Hmm.
Fun Day Friday. How you going to miss that class?
And you know it's going to be fun if she's teaching it.
Yeah, it is. She's fun. Okay. You ready for your nugget of the day, mister?
Yeah, I think it's a double nugget, right?
Oh, it's a double nug. I love
You didn't
double
notice that?
nugs.
A double
I love
nugget.
double nugs. All right. To
Who's
see
it
the
coming
universe.
from? Who's
It's
it
coming from. It's coming from one of your favorites, Mahatma Gandhi.
From Gandhi.
Yeah. Mohan. What's his name? M.K. Gandhi.
Mohandas.
K. Is it M.K. Gandhi? Okay. To see the universal and all-pervading spirit of truth face to face, one must be able to love the meanest of creation as oneself. Ooh, nice one, Gandhi. And the man who aspires after that cannot afford to keep out of any field of life. I don't know what that means.
To see the universal, all-pervading spirit of truth.
That means God.
That means God, yes,
That
right?
means
But he's
God.
everywhere. But he's everywhere, but we're not perceiving him. And we're not perceiving him everywhere. What to speak of perceiving him face to face,
Why?
right? Well, apparently because we haven't learned to love the meanest of creation as oneself. What does mean here mean, Raghunath? What does mean?
The meanest? I thought it meant like the cruelest.
I don't think that's what it means.
It could.
I suppose it could, but I think it mean here means like the lowest, the shabbiest, the you know, I've got the definition here for one of the definitions of the word mean, especially of a place poor in quality and appearance, shabby, of a person's mental capacity for understanding inferior or poor, or of lower birth or social class. So no, the meanest just meaning like, you know, we're not above anyone, right?
Okay, nice.
Yeah. So if we're going to understand God face to face, right, one must be able to love the meanest of creation as oneself, right? I like that. And it kind of ties in with the next one.
Okay, here's the next one. Ready? The seeker after truth. Seekers of the truth.
Oh, yeah.
The
Okay, little
seeker. It was a
Cro-Mag.
Cro-Mag song.
All right.
I wonder if they got it from this. The seeker after truth should be humble, be humbler than the dust.
Humbler than the dust.
Ooh, that's a good one. M.K. Gandhi.
Okay.
By the way, his middle name was Karamchand. Karamchand.
Okay. Are you going to read the whole thing or just that one
Yes.
line?
Well, I'm going to read the whole thing. The seeker after truth should be humbler than the dust. The world crushes the dust under its feet. But the seeker after truth should be so humble himself that even the dust could crush him. Ooh. Only then, and not till then, will we have a glimpse of truth.
Okay.
It's almost very Lord Chaitanya-esque. What do you think?
Well, I mean, he was Bengali, right? And he was, I believe he was Bengali, wasn't he? Any case, I'm sure he knew of Sri Chaitanya.
I'm looking at a text message from Mara that says, "Time for Bhagavatam."
Mara, we're just getting started here. Come on, we got right into the nugget.
No. I think
was late.
I was late.
Okay. All right, Raghunath, why don't we try to stay on point then here? Okay, and let's get into it. So both of these had to do with, if we're going to perceive that subtle truth, right? That few people are picking up on, but that's so important, so essential, right? It's all pervasive. Spiritual truth, understanding that truth as a person face to face, or even just seeking the truth, like really understanding how things are. That truth isn't real. There's let's put it this way: ego, arrogance. These things block our perception of truth, or they block our perception of God. And in this quote where he says we have to be humbler than the dust, and then just so that we understand the gravity of what he's saying, he's saying, actually, he says the world crushes the dust under its feet, but
you're under the dust.
You got to be under the dust, which is under the feet, right? It's like you really, it means that's the kind of intensity that the true spiritualist has, the great saints had. We've been, I've mentioned a few times on the show now where I visited that Mount Laverna, and there St. Francis was meditating on his smallness. Right. The truth is, we're very small. We're very insignificant. We walk around like we're not. We try to pose as if we're very important. We try to present even though we're so tiny, we're trying to present ourselves as being very important. But once you zoom out, it becomes very obvious what a tiny little speck, how insignificant we are. When we really understand that, and when we don't feel ourselves superior to any other living being, when we see every living being on that spiritual level, only then do we begin to actually see the truth. Only then do we really want to see it? Or do we open ourselves up to it?
This is why I feel like you go to the Grand Canyon, or you climb a mountain, or you drive upstate and see the stars, or go to the desert, and there's such a vastness of it. You really realize, you start to go, wow, I'm so tiny. Or if you're in a boat and you can't see land, you realize how tiny you are. And in that feeling of tininess, you feel like, oh man, I'm having a spiritual experience. Yeah. I just went to the Grand Canyon. It was the most spiritual thing I've ever done. I just climbed this mountain. I went up Mount Washington, most spiritual thing I've ever done. It's spiritual because we're seeing ourselves in relationship to something so much greater than ourselves. And it gives us a glimpse into our tininess and are part of something so much bigger, and something that lasts much longer than I will last.
Like, fundamentally, we're in this virtual reality of the material world, playing a game, trying to taste illusion, right? And in that illusion, we want to feel I'm the center of the universe. I'm very important. I'm very significant. I want the adoration. I want the fame. I want, because of that desire, the illusory energy facilitates that, and it's only in ignorance that we can feel that or taste that. But if we want the truth, right? If we actually want to understand how things are, and maybe a little scary, my smallness, right? My insignificance. It may feel like a surrender of my importance in life, or surrender of being significant in any way. Right? But our significance comes from our love, from our loving connection to that original source. And when we understand that, being insignificant and being humbler than the dust, is fine with us, and we're capable of loving the meanest of creation, not bearing any kind of feelings of superiority. We think feeling superior is going to satisfy us. There's going to be a tastiness to it that'll be satisfying. No, there's really no taste to it.
That's a good point, isn't it? Yeah. It's a good point. You get a little taste of when you feel important. That sweetness of importance is eclipsed when you actually embrace your tininess. That's when you feel right. When you feel like, how can I serve you? You feel so
it feels so right. It feels like this is the suit of clothes I should be wearing. No one feels so comfortable in their arrogance, even if they're getting a lot of accolades, because at any minute you could trip up and there's always people ready to take you down.
Always
Why?
happens.
Because they want that position.
Yeah.
There's a war to see who can be the controller. And in reality, no one's in control.
Yeah, the wise person is like, go ahead, take it. Take the position.
It's not mine anyway.
It's not mine anyway. And there's no taste in it, by the way. So, be careful. Rogan, I just had this experience 2 days ago. Gita Pri and I went to the beach. It was super hot.
You felt tiny. You felt like a grain
No,
of
it
sand.
wasn't that. It was a different, no.
You saw a dolphin and you thought, this is the most spiritual thing that's ever happened to me.
No, Rogan.
Okay.
They want to care to guess again?
Give me one more chance.
No,
I
but
was selling watermelon and you bought some and you think, this is the sweetest. This is God. I'm tasting
How did you know?
God right
How did
now.
you know? No. We saw a woman. It was a sweltering hot day. And there was a woman there and she had a pit bull with her. She brought her dog to the beach, but it was a pit bull with only 3 legs, right?
3 legs.
And it was a big dog too. And she brought, she picked it up and she brought it into the water, and like the waves are it's like right on the edge of the water, the waves are coming in and the dog is just like in ecstasy, it was so hot,
Yeah.
And you could just see how much the dog was enjoying itself. And then when it came time to come out, like when you come out of the water on the beach, you kind of stand up, but like the dog, because it only had 3 legs, it was just getting so much in the sand and everything like that. It had no way to come up kind of clean,
Yeah.
Are you
What
with
happened?
me?
Yeah.
I'm not hearing you. How's that? Just go say something.
I got you, man. The dog
Okay,
couldn't
gotcha.
stand up. He's covered in sand. It's a big mess. Go.
Yeah, so what she did was she saw what was going on. There was another guy with the dog at that point. And then she just stepped up. You can see it was her dog. And when I say it was her dog, I mean, she loved that dog. Like she cared for that dog,
You're really watching this lady, weren't you?
I was. No, I was. And
studying.
And so she went in there and she took the dog back in the water and got it all clean and lifted that thing up. How much does a big pit bull weigh? It must be like 80 pounds
60 pounds.
Yeah, it was like the dog was big. She picked up that dog and you could just see she loved the dog and the dog loved her. And she carried the dog over to her blanket and then brought it down on the blanket. And then she had like a big bottle of water. She's pouring it over the dog to like get all the salt water off it,
Mm.
But I could see how happy she was, like how joyful it was. She was happy that her dog was happy. She was right. She was happy that her dog was suffering in some hot apartment and she could see how happy the dog was. And the dog's happiness became her happiness. And I went up to her and I said, I can see you really love that dog. And she said, oh, she just started going on. But, the point being is that happiness is not by being served. It's not by being number one. It's not by being high, right? It's by loving the meanest of creation, right? Even the 3-legged dog, and it's through service that we actually experience the deepest happiness. I could see she was the happiest, most like lit up person on the beach, right? It was everyone else is like trying to enjoy. She was trying to serve. Bronze themselves,
Malibu
become
Mara.
sexier, right? But she was just focused on serving, and she was the most lit up person on the whole beach, right? That's my point.
I appreciate that. The dust, blessed. Whatever happened to Louis Dust, Kostuba? Thinking about the lowest of the was that
Tony Dust?
Tony Dust was that a spiritual name he had? Tony Dust.
I think that was a spiritual name. But I think it was another kind of dust.
There's another type of dust that he enjoyed.
Yes.
Okay, Shiva G Life Coaching is like, oh boy, that's a different dust.
That's a different.
That's a different. It wasn't the spiritual dust.
She knew Tony.
Oh, Tony Dust. Okay, that was a good one. Christopher, good job on that one.
That's okay. You're into the Gandhian wisdom, were you?
You are the treasure hunter, the nectar nugget seeker.
Oh, by the way, I just started experimenting with Nugget. Yoda, we can definitely do a week with Yoda.
A week with Yoda. How about Thomas Merton? Did we do Thomas Merton for a week?
We've never done Thomas Merton. We could easily do Thomas Merton for a week, I'm sure. And Pete Seeger, I just somehow pulled up Pete Seeger. He's got a lot of great. We could do a week of Pete Seeger week. There's all kinds of stuff we can do.
Pete Seeger?
Yeah.
Was he a singer?
Yeah. Come on, you're the big Dylan guy. You should know who Pete Seeger is.
I don't know who he is.
I don't know. You know, if I had a hammer and all that,
Okay,
this land is
okay.
my land, this land is your,
Okay.
plays the
I know those
banjo
songs.
stanza.
I know those songs. Okay. How about my favorite and yours?
Oh,
John Denver. Is he spiritual?
I think he does have some spiritual songs. Actually, I do. Some of his lyrics are quite spiritual because it is seeing God in nature, I think. So Tony Dust lives in Massachusetts. He's a chef, and he came out as gay. Raghunath. That's the
good
latest
for
on
him.
Tony Dust.
Tony Dust. All right.
All right.
All right. Continuing on with the show. Where are we, my friend? Oh, okay.
You can ask Mara. She's on it.
Mara, where are we? My dear.
We are on Canto 4, Chapter 24, Text 21.
Oh yeah, that's right. We
You know what I've
ended
been
with that
doing?
incredible verse yesterday. Right? Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
You know what I've been doing every day? I'm playing volleyball on the beach.
Beach volleyball.
Beach volleyball. It's been very, very rewarding with all the kids. With two arms.
Rewarding.
It's a
Chukrams
different
kids.
kind of serving, perhaps, than
They're-
Christopher was talking about on the beach.
Oh, Mara, very clever. With your double entendre there.
All right, Mara. All right, guys. So this is chapter 24,
Mm-hmm.
text number
21.
Narayanam
First-
namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord, Narayan, and to Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Gyana Tamarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Un Militam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet.
All right.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 24, Text 23.
Raghunath, before
Text
you read
21.
these first, text 21. Yeah, that's close.
Okay.
This scene that we're about to see right now, the Prachetas, I think there's 9 of them, right? I think there's 9 Prachetas. They're all brothers. They all have a big responsibility that's eventually going to come up for them to kind of become like big time leaders. But to prepare for it, they're going to the ocean. They're going to the water, right? It's like an ocean. And they're going to go under the water and they're going to meditate for a very long time. Get their head set straight for it. But on the way, a special benediction happens. What is that, Raghunath? They're going to meet someone?
They met Lord Shiva. They meet
There
Lord
you
Shiva.
go. Yeah. So okay. So we read this verse yesterday, how they arrived at the water and that water was like calm. What did it say?
Placid.
It was so calm
like
and
a sage's
quiet,
mind.
like the mind of a great soul. And then even it was the aquatics in that water were peaceful.
They were
happy
calm too.
under the protection of such a watery reservoir. Now we're about these next few verses. Picture this like a movie, okay? Picture this like a full-on cinematic, super kind of, well filmed kind of scene. This is going to be one of the coolest scenes you've ever seen in your life. Hit it.
Okay. Are you going to explain it, or
I said hit it. Yeah, go ahead, read it.
Okay,
but,
hit it.
But
Okay.
as we hear it, picture it like a movie. Picture it like a movie.
Ready?
Yeah.
In that great lake, there were different types of lotus flowers. Some of them were bluish. Some of them were red. Some of them grew at night. Right? There's night blooming lotuses.
Lotus, yeah.
Some of them in the day, and some like the Indivara lotus flowers in the evening. Combined together, the lotus flowers filled the lake so full that the lake appeared to be a great mine of such flowers.
Okay.
Consequently, on the shores were swans, cranes, chakravakas, karandavas, and other beautiful water birds standing out.
Okay, so it's beautiful flowers, beautiful birds, beautiful water. Continue.
There are various trees and creepers on all sides of the lake, and there were mad bumblebees humming about all of them. The trees appeared to be very jolly like a tree, due to the sweet humming of the bumblebees and the saffron, which was contained in the lotus flowers, was being thrown into the air. What if that means the pollen?
Yeah, I think the pollination is
right. These all created such an atmosphere that it appeared as though a festival were taking place. It's a beautiful nature appreciation of nature. The sons of the king became very much amazed when they heard the vibrations from various drums and kettle drums, along with other orderly musical sounds pleasing to the ear.
Okay, so here's the movie, right? That these 9 young sages are walking towards that beautiful water. When they get to that water, they sense a deep sense of serenity and peace, and it's full of beautiful flowers, and they're all pollinating and beautiful aromas, and beautiful birds of all different varieties. And then suddenly they start to hear these drums playing, right? The kettle drums.
The Prachetas were fortunate to see Lord Shiva, the chief of the demigods, emerging from the water, right? He's emerging with his associates.
So all of a sudden, like Lord Shiva and all of his associates start
coming
to
out
come
of
out of
this
the
lake.
water. It must have been such an incredible scene.
And his associates are quite interesting characters.
Oh, yeah, a lot of interesting characters.
Right? His bodily luster was just like molten gold. His throat was bluish, and he had 3 eyes, which looked very mercifully upon his devotees.
Imagine that scene.
He was accompanied by many musicians who were glorifying him. As soon as the Prachetas saw Lord Shiva, they immediately offered their obeisances in great amazement and fell down at the lotus feet of the Lord.
Can just allow our minds to try to meditate on that vision, right?
Yeah.
The Lord, here it says that Lord Shiva's, his luster was like molten gold, right? And he's rising out of the water. He's got 3 eyes, but his expression, right? And he's being kind of like musically worshipped by everyone with this incredibly beautiful music, and they're all rising out of the water with him. And his 3 eyes are looking very mercifully upon his devotees. Like, in other words, his mood is
soft and loving,
sweet, loving, kind, just wanting to help everyone.
Must have been quite shocking.
It's
imagine
stunning.
Walking upon a beautiful lake or something, and all of a sudden Lord Shiva exits the lake.
Well, first of all, there's the music
all these
coming,
lotuses.
Right? Yeah, you hear this music. I mean, it must have been so beautiful to see.
Dramatic.
Yeah. Okay.
Lord Shiva became very pleased with the Prachetas because generally Lord Shiva is the protector of pious persons and persons of gentle behavior.
Interesting.
We don't see much people with gentle behavior. It's a good quality. A gentleman.
A gentleman. What does that mean, to be gentle, Raghunath?
It means to be a little bit more thoughtful, a little bit more caring, a little bit of know when to shut up. When to speak up, when to be a little bit more courageous, to have some chivalry, I'd say, to be soft. Yeah, I think it means to fully embrace your feminine as well as your masculine. What do you think about that, Mara? You got an opinion on that one?
I think that's a good definition.
she'll take that. I think it has a lot to do with, normally we're so wrapped up in our own experience and concerned for our own experience that we don't even have the space to think of another person's experience.
I like that.
And a gentle person, they're satisfied themselves so that they can be concerned for how the other person feels. And so when you meet someone like that, you feel good around them because they actually understand the words to speak to you, that will resonate well with you. And they know, oh, hey, why don't we sit down? Or, could I get you something to drink? Or whatever it may be. They're sensitive to your needs and your experience.
Sure.
And it is a bit rare in the world. We haven't glorified that enough. We see that as subservient, as somehow lesser than the person that's kind of like more dominating.
Well, yeah, we're motivated by the aggro. Yeah, what's up? What are you doing? What's going on? I remember I met this guy in India once. I was a brand new brahmachari in Calcutta, and I was reading books. They had like this little reading area. And this one, the guy was probably like he was a young guy, probably my age, but probably like a very smart college student, probably from a very cultured family. But because he didn't have a dhoti on, I just treated him like he knew nothing. And I was like, hey, what are you doing here? You want to get into Krishna consciousness? And he was just very soft, and he just gave me a little head bobble. I said, okay, let me show you the most important book right here. And I pull out the Bhagavad-gita. Have you read the Bhagavad-gita yet? And he just he gave me a head bobble, which if you're new to, if you've been around, you know, a head bobble means, yes, I've read the Bhagavad Gita. But if you're right off the plane from America and someone shakes their head, it looks like a no. And I had no clue what that meant. So I was like, you haven't read the Bhagavad Gita yet? Okay, here, we're going to start you right from the beginning. And I'm opening the Bhagavad Gita. And he was just so soft to me. And I was like, listen, I'm going to start with this. Do you believe in God? And he just gave me a head bobble.
Yes,
I was like, you don't believe in God. You don't believe in God. Who do you think controls everything? You think you're the controller? You think? And I said, okay, listen, do you understand what the soul is? And he gave me a head bobble again. I was like, oh my God. Okay, I'm going to have to dismantle your whole reality, kid. And I just started digging into this guy. I was like, listen, you don't have a soul. You are a soul. How do you think this body's moving? There's a soul in there. And he would never just stop and just say something. He just let me go on with my spiel. That was a gentleman.
And he was probably like coming in a lineage where his whole family was like Gaudiya Vaishnavas, like connected with all these different acharyas. So, yeah.
He just didn't want to make me appear stupid, and he wanted to encourage my enthusiasm.
He had nothing to prove.
I was such a belligerent big mouth. It's oh my God.
You know, one verse that I think about a lot, Raghunath,
Yes,
is first canto, first chapter, text number 8.
First canto, first chapter, text number 8.
And this is where the sages of Naimisharanya.
The first word.
I don't even know the Sanskrit, but
What's the English?
And.
Oh, thank you. Mary, you got that one? And.
No, but the context is that the sages of Naimisharanya, who have all, this is the very beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, right?
All right.
They've all gathered in the all these sages have gathered in a forest called Naimisharanya. And they've gathered there knowing that Kali Yuga, the darker age, is coming. You know, this is about 5,000 years ago. And that's, we quoted a verse from that yesterday, right? That I think it was yesterday, that in this age, people are misguided, unlucky, you know, most of all, their minds are always disturbed, right? They knew that this was coming, right? And they were trying to counteract it, trying to bring some auspiciousness, trying to do something for the benefit of the people of this age, namely us, right? And they were drawing from all of their yogic techniques and all of their Vedic rituals and trying to do something that they feel would help people of the future. But they knew, they could sense it's not working. You know, we're not hitting the nail on the head here. And so they're trying to figure out, you know, there's so much Vedic literature, so many texts that Vyasadeva compiled. We need someone to speak to us who really understands it the most deeply. So they turned to Sutta Goswami, right? And they asked him, you know, why don't you summarize it for you? Why don't you give us the essence of all of these teachings? You know, share.
Studied them all. You studied them all.
They said, you studied them all. You're the most learned in it. And then they said this verse, and they said, and because you are submissive, your spiritual masters have endowed you. This goes right back to our Gandhi. There's always a connection, Raghunath, right? It goes right back to our Gandhi verses.
Call that a Krishna miracle.
It's a Krishna miracle. And because you are submissive, your spiritual masters have endowed you with all the favors, all the blessings, you know, bestowed upon a gentle disciple.
Just like if you have a child, and the child instinctually just wants to give back. Like, I got this, Mom. Don't worry. I'm gonna clean up the kitchen. I got this, Mom. Hey, what did you do with the car last night? Mom, don't worry. I cleaned it all out. It's completely clean. When you get a child that's so like, not just obedient, but going out of their way to render service, the parent holds nothing back. The parent will say, yeah, you take the car, of course, because you fully trust that person.
Right.
Fully trust that person.
Yeah.
And so the same is with the relationship with the teachers. If they see that the student has that attitude, the teacher wants to shower love, affection, influence, information on that person.
On the
And it's not
meanest of
just
creation.
and it's not just the teacher. That mood attracts Krishna. And that mood attracts Krishna. So Krishna will endow the student with some revelation, with some realization.
There you go. Okay. So we're talking about being gentle. Well, how did we get on gentle? What was it?
Gentle.
Text 26.
Text 26 was mentioned there.
Yeah.
Lord Shiva became very pleased. Okay. Yeah, why don't we read that again?
Lord Shiva became very pleased with the prachetas, and generally Lord Shiva is the protector of the pious persons and the persons of gentle behavior. Being very such pleased with these princes, he began to speak as follows. Here's Lord Shiva speaking.
Okay.
You are all the sons of King Prachini Barhi, and I wish all good fortune to you. I also know that you are going to do. I also know what you are going to do, and therefore I am visible to you just to show my mercy upon you.
Okay. Wow.
Any person who is surrendered to Lord Krishna, the controller of everything, material nature, as well as the living entity, is actually very dear to me. Wow.
Okay. No,
Want to become dear to Lord Shiva? Surrender to Krishna.
Well, that's exactly where I was going, Raghunath. You're thinking like me today.
Or you're thinking like me. You can look at it like that too, Christina. Isn't that interesting? The way you can flip it.
I didn't mean that one was superior to the other. We're thinking alike today, Raghunath.
We're thinking alike. There you go.
Yeah, because let's look at the context of what's going on here. The entire thing that's going on here. We're in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Let's zoom out a bit, right? And let's again look at all of the texts of that Vyasadeva compiled. He compiled the 4 Vedas. I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of verses that is, right? He compiled the Upanishad, 108 Upanishads. He kind of summarized the whole thing in the Vedanta Sutra. Then he went on to Mahabharata, right? Mahabharata, what? 100,000 verses. Another, again.
100,000 Sanskrit couplets.
Oh, couplets. And cutlets? What? and you know, with the Bhagavad-gita in there, and then the Puranas, which are stories, you know, collections of stories, and you know, Bhagavad Purana, the Srimad Bhagavatam that we're reading now, has 18,000 verses roughly. Other Puranas are actually much larger than that, right? There's ones that are like 30, 40, 50,000 verses or more, like that. It's a vast amount of literature, and this is what becomes real important if you want to understand it, because some of it's going to seem contradictory, that it's moving in a particular direction, and that different books are written for different people at different stages of their development.
Makes sense.
Makes sense.
Like if I say there's a bunch of math books in there.
Yeah.
You know, the 5-year-old can't pick up the calculus math book.
Right.
They can pick up a different math book, an addition and subtraction with using apples as pictures.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all math, but certain people, right? And
it's all true in one sense, right? Yeah.
It's all truth.
Just
and
has
so
to be understood.
Certain people, according to where they're at in their life, get attracted to a particular deity, a particular method of self-realization. And the Vedas really just lay it all out for everyone because they realize we're all different.
Right. Like there's a certain stage in math, like the early stages in math, they're going to say, like you say, you know, Bobby has an apple and Joey has an apple. And when you put them together, how many apples are there? Okay, there's 2 apples, right? And okay, you know, you're learning this way. So you learn that you know, and then if you say, well, you know, Jill has 4 apples, you know, and Mary took one of the apples away. How many apples does Jill have? Okay, well, you know, she's got 3 apples now, you know, but you reach a stage in math where you say, well, what if, you know, what if you took, someone had, you know, like 14,000 and they took away from it 17,211.
That's negative apples.
Yeah, well, yeah. At one person, you know, like the person on the lower level of math understanding is saying that doesn't work. That's wrong. what you just said is wrong. You can't do that. But someone that knows more about math knows about like negative integers and you know, it makes sense to them. And so similarly, like the Puranas are playing out like that. Certain 6 of the Puranas are meant for people that are very influenced by the tamaguna, by the mode of ignorance. And if you read those books, there's going to be books that make it sound like Lord Shiva is the supreme, right? Like is that everything is coming from him, because they want to invest your faith in him. Why? Because he's a pure Vaishnava and because he loves Krishna, right? And there's going to be other Puranas, another 6 Puranas that are going to be geared for people that are very much influenced by the Rajaguna. And then there are 6 that are geared towards people that are in the Sattva Guna. And when you get to there, they're really praising Lord Vishnu and ultimately Lord Krishna. And the Srimad Bhagavatam is the culmination of them all, right? It's where it all comes to its climax, where it fits all the pieces together. So what's happening here, so that we can fit those pieces together? Because say in this life, or even in a previous life, I may have been reading about Lord Shiva and thinking that he is the all in all, that he is the ultimate supreme. Well, now it's been identified for me that all of this is building up to the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? It's been very clearly stated. And when I get here, we find that Lord Shiva is a devotee of Lord Vishnu. And what he's come to show is exactly what that you just said, that if I want to please Lord Shiva, the best way that I can do that, I don't have to give up my love for Lord Shiva. That's not what it's asking me, right? It's saying, no, you should love Lord Shiva. You should want to please Lord Shiva. Well, what's the highest way to please Lord Shiva? Well, that's to love Lord Krishna. That's what will satisfy him.
Lord Shiva speaking right here. And that's why they call that's why they call the Bhagavatam the cream of Vedic literature. The cream, if you are a milk drinker or were a milk drinker, that was that was the good, tasty stuff that rose to the top. Like the cream on the top of the yogurt. The fatty, the sweet. This is the cream of Vedic literature. Okay, so this is Lord Shiva's statements.
2 things are going to be shown here through Lord Shiva's statements. One is what you just said, that if you want to please Lord Shiva, that the best way to do it is to love Lord Krishna, so serve and love Lord Krishna. And 2 is that although these texts, there's so much within them about like, well, if you want to, that you have a duty to satisfy the devas because they provided everything for you. They provided the rain, they provided the sun, they provided, everything that you need in life has been provided by the devas. Therefore, you have a duty to satisfy them and to serve them and to offer a ritualistic sacrifice to them. Well, here, what Lord Shiva is going to show is that if you just satisfy Lord Krishna, all the devas are satisfied, right? In one shot, you satisfy everything. And this is the higher math that others may not get. They say, oh, now you've gone sectarian. No, it's not sectarian. You just don't understand. You just don't understand it. It's actually the most inclusive, but it's a hierarchical inclusivism.
Because they're integrated. They all work together.
There you go. Yeah. Okay.
Text 29. A person who executes his occupational duty properly for 100 births becomes qualified to occupy the post of Brahma.
It's the highest post in the material world, basically. Right?
That's all you got to do.
100. Yeah, it's not easy.
100.
It's hard to do for 10 minutes. What to speak about for 100 lifetimes.
Right. Okay. You got to execute your dharma properly for 100 births. Then you become qualified to occupy the post of Brahma. And if he becomes more qualified, he can approach Lord Shiva.
Wow.
A person who is directly surrendered to Lord Krishna or Vishnu in unalloyed bhakti is immediately promoted to the spiritual planets.
Like way beyond Lord Brahma's
right out of the material universe. Yeah. Lord Shiva and other demigods attain these planets after the destruction of this material world. Very interesting.
Yeah.
You are all devotees of the Lord. This is still Shiva speaking.
Yes.
You're all devotees of the Lord. And as such, I appreciate that you are as respectable as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I know in this way that the devotees also respect me and that I am dear to them. Thus, no one can be as dear to the devotees as I am.
Oh, do you see that? Beautiful, right? No one can be as dear to the. No, hold it. Let's go into this a little bit. It's showing that he's saying you all have this exclusive devotion for Lord Krishna, and through that, you and I are connected in a loving relationship, right? And there's a dearness because Lord Shiva is saying, because I see your devotion for Krishna, I respect you just like Krishna, right? And that no one can be as dear to the devotees as I am, because I'm connected with him as well, because we're all connected to that root. We're all connected with each other, right? The different leaves on the tree are individual, but because they're all connected to the root of the tree, right? Then they're all connected with each other. And so this highest kind of universal kind of, unity is being understood here with Krishna in the center, right? Now, here's a little excerpt from the commentary. Prabhupada writes, "It is said, Vaishnavanam yata Shambhu." Mara, do you know what that means?
No.
Okay, well, I stumped her this time.
That was a good
He's
one.
the greatest to the Vaishnavas.
Boom, she got it. Oh, Mara,
Reading
you're
off
so
the
good.
board again.
No, did she?
No,
it's not on the
no.
board.
It's not okay.
Yeah, Vaishnavanam yata Shambhu. Shambhu is Lord Shiva. Vaishnavanam, he's the greatest of all the Vaishnavas. So it is said, or did you read it from the purport, Mara? Did you read
No,
it from
I didn't.
Okay.
I was sending a birthday message to Jeffrey Ackler
Okay.
on the chat board.
Okay.
So busted.
So it is said, Vaishnavadam yata Shambhu, Lord Shiva is the best of all devotees, meaning the best of all devotees of Lord Vishnu or Krishna. Therefore, all the devotees of Lord Krishna are also devotees of Lord Shiva. When you love Krishna, you love Shiva, right? In Vrindavan, there is Lord Shiva's temple called
Gopeshwar.
Gopeshwar Mahadev, right? Gopeshwar. The gopis used to worship not only Lord Shiva, but Katyayani. Who's Katyayani?
She's a manifestation of Amba,
Or
Durga.
Durga, right? So it's Lord Shiva's wife. So the gopis used to worship not only Lord Shiva, but Katyayani or Durga as well. But their aim, why were they worshiping this goddess? Their aim was to attain the favor of Lord Krishna. So maybe you can tell why they were doing that, right? A little bit more context there.
The gopis wanted to marry Krishna.
Yeah, it said that commonly the tradition is that if a girl wants a good husband in the future, then she worships Katyayani. She's Lord Shiva is her husband, so she can give that blessing of having a good husband.
So they did a special fast for 30 days on plain khichdi.
Okay.
And tried to please Lord Krishna and tried to get Lord Krishna as their husband. That was their meditation. That was the intention behind their fast.
Even the worship of this goddess, Krishna was the center and the focus of their devotion and attention. So the gopis used to worship not only Lord Shiva, but Katyayani or Durga as well. But their aim was to attain the favor of Lord Krishna. A devotee of Lord Krishna does not disrespect Lord Shiva, but worships Lord Shiva as the most exalted devotee of Lord Krishna. Consequently, whenever a devotee worships Lord Shiva, he prays to Lord Shiva to achieve the favor of Krishna, and he does not, and this is the point, and he does not request material profit. That's not bhakti. Right? In Bhagavad-gita 7:20, it is said that generally people worship the demigods for some material profit. This is Bhagavad-gita, right? Kamaistaistea hrityajnana prapadyante nyadevata. Right? That because
they worship for stuff in the material world.
They worship for stuff, and they approach the devas for that.
It's a type of spiritual. It's like a metaphysical materialism where you understand it's higher than my thinking. My thinking is, well, if I work hard, I'll get stuff. And I think it's about my endeavor. And so this is the first step into spirituality, to take yourself out of your own, that you are the doer, that you are the controller, and you understand there's higher beings providing stuff for you. So there's worship of devas, but still, and Krishna says in that next verse, Kostub.
The next verse of what? From Bhagavad-gita?
Yeah.
Well, it says that Kamaistaistea hrityajnana, that your jnana is stolen. Because of their material desires, their jnana is stolen. So that's text 20 of chapter 7. Those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto the demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. And then Krishna says, I'm in everyone's heart as a super soul. As soon as one desires to worship some demigod, I make their faith steady so that they can devote themselves to that particular deity. And endowed with such faith, they endeavor to worship a particular demigod and obtain their desires. But in actuality,
It's all coming from me.
these
It's all
benefits
coming
are
from me.
bestowed by me alone. Now, this is interesting, right? Because in the next 3 verses after that in the Bhagavad-gita, Krishna describes the intelligence of this type of thinking.
It's
Right.
amazing how you really, if you read the Bhagavad-gita and the Bhagavatam, you're really just set. That of all the Vedic
It's all
literatures,
clear.
it's very, very
It's all
clear.
clarified there.
It
Yeah.
puts the entire puzzle of Vedic thought together.
There you go. Well, now Krishna's going to sound a little heavy, the way that he expresses these things, but really he's just saying you're not thinking clearly.
Hmm.
You're not thinking. If you're thinking like that, you're not thinking clearly. If you're thinking I need to worship, 50 demigods for the things of this world because I want more of this world, don't you realize I'm the one that provides all that anyway? But you could have so much more if you just turn and reconnect with me. You can have, your eternal bliss, which is your own nature. You can recover that and experience it at every moment. And the things that you're desiring now will seem paltry and insignificant, right? So he says it like that.
Read that next verse.
He says, men of small intelligence, alpa medasam. Alpa means small, medasa means intelligence, right? Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. They want material things, right?
Yeah.
Material means limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. Now in the next verse, abudhaya, right? Unintelligent men. Buddha means, one's intelligence, one's ability to discern. The abudhaya, those who are not intelligent, they do not know me perfectly. They think that I, the Supreme Personality Godhead, Krishna, was impersonal before and have now assumed this personality. Right? They think that, the form of Krishna is this illusory, that ultimately the ultimate is some energy, like all pervasive energy. But no, Krishna said this form it all comes from this form. So unintelligent people, the abudhaya, do not know me perfectly. They think that I, the Supreme Personality Godhead Krishna, was impersonal before and have now assumed this personality due to their small knowledge. They do not know my higher nature, which is imperishable and supreme. And then he says, I am never manifest to the mudha. Right? I'm never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them, I'm covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and infallible. But all of that actually comes after text 19, very famous verse.
Bahunam janamamante.
There you go. After many births and deaths, the person who is actually in knowledge, they surrender unto Krishna, knowing him to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. Right?
The Rubik's cube of Vedic wisdom has been solved in
It's all there.
in those verses.
Yeah.
You want to understand the demigods? We'll put in perspective what a demigod is.
Yeah. So again, this isn't like saying, oh, you're turning your back on Lord Shiva, or you're thinking my sect is superior to your sect. No, the books are like math books that get more and more involved. If you're saying you can't subtract 10 from 5, you're on a lower level of mathematical understanding. Someone that understands it more can say, no, it's -5 is the answer to that question, And
Sure.
if you think that it's someone's pure devotion directed solely and exclusively to Krishna is some kind of sectarianism, no, actually that's the most inclusive love, because everyone's connected to that divine source. And now Lord Shiva is going to step up right now. You couldn't have a more important person come and deliver this message, right? Because if anyone's worshipped, on a level that's anything like that of Vishnu or Krishna, it's Lord Shiva. And if anyone could, if out of all the different devas and devis, if there's anyone that's being worshipped, and nearly as much as it's Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva is stepping out of that. He's stepping out of that water in the most beautiful, dramatic, cinematic way, and he's delivering this message. Because you worship Krishna, you're very dear to me, right? And if you simply worship Krishna, I'm very satisfied, because he's the root of all existence. And so that this is being clarified here in the Bhagavatam which is, like you say, it's the final key. It's how you can finally put the whole thing together. It all clicks.
Prabhu, it's 5:59.
All right.
5:59. And my computer
where you
just made it. It hasn't died yet. Oh, yeah. Where
It's
I am.
going to cut you off. It's going to cut
me
you off
right when
we
get
normally mute you.
cut off.
Yeah.
Okay, Mara, what do we have? Give us some nugget to take away with us today. Not a nugget. What do we call the end? Takeaways. Give us a takeaway to take away.
We got some good takeaways.
Give us
humbler.
a good. Didn't I rename these up? Didn't I call these goodie baskets?
No, they didn't. Everyone voted against
Didn't
that.
really
Right?
stick. Yeah.
Goodies. Give us a goodie.
Be humbler than the dust.
Ooh, like it.
Ego and arrogance block our understanding of God.
Dust in the wind. All we are is dust in the wind.
We are tiny, insignificant specks of part of something greater.
Yes.
Yeah.
Our significance comes from our loving connection to Source.
Sure does.
Something I would say, but I didn't say that.
Okay. Sorry, Raghunath. You can take it if you want.
I'll take it.
No one is in control but Krishna.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Happiness comes from loving and serving the meanest of creations,
There
even
you
the
go.
three-legged pit bulls.
We're three-legged pit bull.
We're three-legged pit bull in the Bronx.
Oh, yeah, good one, Raghunath.
A gentle person is self-satisfied and concerned for others.
That's right.
Gentle.
The Rubik's Cube of Vedic thought is solved with the Gita.
The Rubik's Cube.
7th chapter.
You keep flipping it, then it snaps into place.
Boom.
And
click.
interpretation of the head bobble is an art.
It sure is. So, yeah, let's see a good head
Gotta
bobble.
Understand that language. There we go. Yes. No. Wait a second. All right. I gotta have to dismantle your entire reality. You're not in control. There is a God. Do you understand that? Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay. All right. Let me take it back another one. I'm a being, right? I'm a being. You're a being, right? Can you accept that? Yes.
Do you understand that you're alive?
Do you understand? You don't understand you're alive yet? You don't understand you're alive. Oh my God.
I would love to see a videotape of that conversation.
Oh my, it was so comic. It went on for about an hour. He just wouldn't butt in. He was so gentle. Thanks everybody for joining us. I want to really, really, really thank everybody who contributes to the show. We're really grateful. This show is going on by your great contributions. And if you like what we're doing, you go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages. And that keeps the boat floating. Now,
Right.
You get a Netflix subscription. You get a Hulu subscription. Come on. Are we given more than Hulu, or is Hulu giving more than us?
I think they got more on their schedule.
What?
But we're delivering Bhagavad-gita. I mean, that's
Delivering Bhagavad-gita. So if you like what we're doing, thank you for contributing. And if you want to join that little Patreon party, you can. Patreon.com/wisdom of the sages. We are very grateful.
Hey, I spoke